Hi, friends. This is your nonprofit funding pro. I hope you're having a great day today. I'm actually wanted to share with you a couple tidbits why I am unpacking school supplies. I know we're getting to that time of year where our children are going back to school, and this is an amazing, by the way. I just have to applaud Sam's Club because this kit I saw, I think, last year, and I had already went school shopping, but we got this a couple weeks back, and I think it was $9.99. And so I'm a previous teacher, educator, long time ago, many moons ago. And, I am a stickler for the pencils. I think having great pencils that are pre-sharpened, that have the best erasers are the way to go. Getting the Dollar Tree pencils that are not sharpened are not fun because they break so easily and they're not easy to sharpen when your children, when they're at school with a sharpener. And then also, sometimes I taught middle school and high school. I didn't teach elementary school. So, but middle school and high school, pretty much, you just need the basics. So I know coming from this, where we are right now in the economy, that it's hard. I mean, things are so much more money, period. And so if you have a middle school or high school, don't feel so overwhelmed. Just get what they need. Don't go over purchase. Personally, I had students almost all the time, and this was a long time ago, in public schools that would wait to get their school supplies till after school started. Literally, I would have some kids that would wait a week. I wouldn't recommend waiting a week, but I would definitely, maybe if you don't have the list ahead of time, then wait a day or two after they meet all of their core teachers and their extracurricular classes, their electives, and see what they need before you go out and buy stuff they really don't need. And again, this was like one of my favorite things because it had a lot of the basic stuff that they need to write with, and you don't need an abundance. And as the year goes on, they're going to need notebooks, those binders, and they're not cheap, by the way. I got those big core subject binders, and I think they were $18.99 a piece, at least at Target. So, don't go and splurge. Just get what they need and call it a day. And so I wanted to throw that in there, though, before I go into for my tip of the day. So one thing I wanted to discuss real quick is one thing I'm noticing with some of my clients is their processes. I tend to walk into a lot of grassroots to smaller to mid-sized nonprofits that do not have a process when I walk in. They have somebody that is either a board of director, a volunteer, or even the founder or ED is doing all the work. They're slaying it. They're doing an amazing job. I applaud them for trying to wear so many hats in a nonprofit and bring in the money, right? But it's really important to have a great system in place. And one thing that I do is if they don't have it, or even if they do, I improve it. And second, I'm usually the one that's creating the process for them. And as overseeing the grants, there is a process from the beginning to the end of seeing it through if you've received it and you have post-grant reports. And so like I encountered one client today, this morning, we're going back and forth because there's a grant that they want to apply for. And it's a great grant, and I think they'd be a great fit for it. Have no issue there. And they have a contact. I've already reached out to their contact about it. No problem. But then we hit a snag because one of the requirements is to go on a website that many grantees require to have to verify their organization. Well, I went in last week and I found out that they were in the system already, which should be great, right? But it isn't because they can't remember whose email that came from and who did it. And you're like, okay, well, that's happened to me before. So I said, okay, there's going to be steps to this and there's going to be pieces I'm going to need from you. But meanwhile, this current grant that we want to apply for is happening now. And we have to apply for it by a due date, which I never like to wait till the due date to apply for a grant. I'd like to have time. So if there's errors, if there's things that we need to proofread or we need to revise or things that they need to get that they can't necessarily get till like a couple of days before we can get that. But I always like to do my checklist and revise it, make sure everything's great before we turn it in. And usually I want to give ourselves at least a week, if not more, to turn it in early. So yeah, I want to share with you that the tip that you should take from this is always have a process. Keep your paperwork. And one thing that I would love to share here is that you can easily create your own process. Yes, you see on Instagram and on other social media sites, oh, there's better ways to do it with the software or over here. And yes, there may be, but if you're a smaller nonprofit, let's be real, you are using your volunteers, your board of directors, you're utilizing people that are giving their time probably. Time meaning that you're not getting paid to do it. So you want to make sure that it's as effective as possible, but it's also the most simplest way. And I had great mentors from the military teach me about trackers. Some of the best JAG lawyers taught me how to use trackers, and I have taught my clients how to use those effectively. And the process keeps going. I have some clients I've had for a couple years, and guess what? They're using them and they can just go to them. They don't have to ask me over and over the same question. It's all there. And that way, once I do leave, or any of your consultants leave, or an employee or volunteer leaves, guess what? You'll still have the passwords, you'll have the emails that it's under, and you'll have all the information. So you don't have to go through these oh no moments, right? And you can avoid the stress because, let's face it, a lot of the smaller nonprofits are just dedicated presidents, interim presidents, VPs of the organization, board members, people that have really big jobs, that this is them giving their time. And it's people like me that come in and they ask me to come in to help them bring in more funding, but I see the holes in the system because there wasn't a proper process system in place to help that process go through smoothly. So again, tip for the day, make sure that you're tracking all your documents, your paperwork, and you have a process in place. So with that said, thank you for joining your Nonprofit Funding Pro. And again, I just had to stick this in here. This you can find at Sam's Club. And yes, this is awesome. And I say this because I was a previous teacher, and this is awesome. And as a parent, I don't have younger kids anymore. I have adults and I have teenagers. And it's up to you if you're going to label everything. But if you have middle schoolers or high schoolers, label what you have to. Don't label. Don't go crazy. Let them be independent. Let them put their names on it. That's how you let them have life skills, is by teaching them to do it themselves. And by 6th grade, it's important to let go a little bit and say, hey, I want you to go tackle all your things and unpack your supplies and get ready for your first day of school. And when they're little, well, I get it. I've been there. Each their own. You got to do what's right for your kids. But when they're in middle school and high school, it's so important to allow them some independence. Especially with technology, they got to have their Chromebooks, which a lot of the schools issue those, cell phones. Excuse me. I know that the cell phones, our policies are different now in different states. So just make sure you're ahead of all of that. But you really got to give them a chance to be on their 2 feet a little bit and let them grow. I know it's hard as moms, we have to let go, but you do. And, first day of school is always exciting no matter what their age is, because you're never going to get it back. So, but I hope you can find some deals in the stores. I know Target had some deals, and I know that Sam's had some deals. In the past, I've went all over different pharmacies like Walgreens and got school supplies, Walmart, Target, you name it. But I have older kids, and again, we just do what makes get it done. I let them pick out the colors they want on their subject binders. They took care of that, and we were in and out. I think this year we were in and out getting the school supplies within an hour, which was record time for us. I was really excited about that. They just want what they need, and they want to get out. So I hope this helps, from one mom to another, from one educator to another. I know, they're sticklers about what they need and what makes it easier for the classroom. But from a previous educator that taught middle school and high school, I think simple is the best way to go. And as a nonprofit funding pro, you gotta have documents, you gotta track, you gotta be able to take care of all of your processes. So for years to come, you have a thriving nonprofit, not one that doesn't make it, even in times like this. And you don't want to be stuck, in limbo when you're not getting the funding, especially federal funding like right now. You want to be able to have systems in place that can withstand all of this change